testing you know tonight?
It was actually. I thought it was good. I mean, I thought there was plenty of entertainment on the card, some really good fights, a bit of great atmosphere with Johnny Fisher. It was a brilliant fight with Chantelle, and I'm really glad we went ahead. Because even the people that would have loved to have seen it stink the place out would have probably have to go. It's actually quite good, So
excellent.
All right, mate.
Very much so.
How hard is it to find the right level to match Alan Babbage?
I feel like tonight was perfect, other than Molina just, when it gets tough, he just looked for a way out. Like he hit Babbage with probably 5 or 6 huge right hands. One wobbled him a little bit, not majorly, but I would have just wished he would have gone to sleep from the first right hand, because that was a big shot. That was a heavy knockdown. Actually, I was surprised he got up. But then when he got up and got through the round, just decided to start throwing himself on the floor. And he's making good money, and it's his last payday for me. I love the guy. I think the guy's a lovely man. But but I feel like Alan's had 8 fights, and he barely eats himself up to 15 stone. So I think but I actually think he's better, maybe than I gave him credit for originally. And I thought it was a good performance tonight, to be honest with you.
Who do you put him in with going forward?
I quite like the fight against the guy who Rivas just boxed. The Polish guy, is it Rozansky or something like that? I think he's nice. Yeah. I would like to see him move back and fight a smaller guy. He wants to fight Oscar Rivas for the Bridgerweight title. Good fight, but I still think he's a novice compared to Rivas. Is a good fighter, tough fight. So Spilka, these kind of names that go around on certain Marius Wack. Tough fight. He's what, 6'9", 19 stone. Just the usual suspects, I think, for the next 2 or 3 fights. But everyone wants to watch him fight. He's really entertaining. He's never going to be dull, is it? But how far he can go, we just don't know. But he's definitely better than I think a lot of people give him credit for.
So that Johnny Fisher's subordinate.
Unbelievable. That was his 4th fight. I've never seen anything like it. Even the massive ticket sellers, right? And there's only a couple that could compete with Johnny Fisher. Josh Warrington, Lewis Ritson was close in his heyday. Crolla got there in the end, but not after 3 or 4 fights. They were doing 150 tickets. He's just sold 1,300. I don't know. And the dad was saying he could have done another 100 or 200 today. People phoned him up for tickets. But he's talk about Alan Babbage. Johnny Fisher has got loads of potential, but just potential at the moment. He's got a long way to go. I need to give him another 15 fights before we start thinking about him having proper heavyweight fights. But I'll tell you what, he'd fill that place up for the southern area, let alone a British title. It was unbelievable. He's very lucky that he's got people like that supporting him.
Would you consider matching Craig Richards and Joshua Atson?
Yes, I think it's a great fight. All those guys are looking for a world title shot, so they'd rather fight for the world title than fight, a domestic rival. It was only Lyndon Arthur really got pushed into that rematch. He'd rather fight for a world title as well. Callum Johnson, much rather fight for a world title. Boatsy, he'd much rather fight Bivol. Richards would rather rematch Bivol or Joe Smith or whoever it is. But if they can't get a world title shot, and not all of them can, they should fight each other. We just saw it with Smith Fowler, what those big domestic fights can do. And Craig Richards against Boatsy is a brilliant fight. But it's a bit awkward because, Craig and Peter Sims and Josh and 258. It's like I'd rather make Boatsy against Callum Johnson. I think that's a great fight. And I'd rather make Craig Richards against the winner of Yard and Thing, but probably easier to do it in-house.
Is Boatsy and Callum out this year?
Callum Smith.
Yeah.
Callum Smith won't box till early next year. Callum Smith is the guy who is beyond the domestic fights, in my opinion, at the moment, unless it's for a world title. So he has to sit and wait, for that world title shot or have a big fight. Joshua Boatsy is in a brilliant fight on December 18th, which we'll announce next week. Really tough fight. And then he's ready. That's his last one. He should fight Dimitri Bivol. That's a brilliant fight. And that's an 0-2 fight where if he can win, he becomes a British boxing star. And he can beat Bivol.
Who else on the bill?
So is it,
Yeah,
what are you interviewing or are you
I'm
just
asking a question.
just a mate? Well,
I'm asking
just
a question.
we'll announce next week.
Yeah, who else is on the bill? Not the opponents.
We'll
but who
announce
else is on
next
the bill?
week, December 18th.
Yeah, who else?
We'll announce next week.
Well,
Joshua
Chelsea.
Watson.
Yeah, you told us that already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Ed, a few for me.
No more drink for you.
In terms of Babic's opponents, you named a few there. You didn't name the one that he was calling out quite Dave Andi and wanted to shoot with him. Are you interested in that fight?
I am. I think it's a great fight, and I think everyone would love to see it. But I will only make that fight if Dave takes it for the right reasons, and Dave is happy in himself. Because when he stopped fighting, he wasn't, and I was really pleased that he retired, following the conversations that we had. And when he wanted to come back, why did he want to come back? Did he want to come back for money? Did he want to come back for boredom, or did he want to come back because he genuinely missed it and wants to commit to the sport? I told him to go away and have a couple of fights. He had one. I'd like him to have another. But if I feel like he's fit and healthy, physically and in himself, and he's doing it for the right reasons other than just a few quid, then I will make the fight. But I haven't had those conversations to assure myself of that.
I might be overanalyzing this, but it seemed like you had a new set of referees in play today, given recent refereeing performance. Is that correct? Was there a new set?
I didn't have a new set of referees. The British Boxing Board of Control had a new set of referees. I don't know is the answer. I only saw one new ref that I hadn't seen before, I believe. And then there's another gentleman, I don't know his name, who is not as an experienced referee. He actually refereed the Molina fight. Kieran-McGee, who, don't have a problem with him. I didn't like. I said to Robert Smith, the final knockdown wasn't a knockdown. You should have told him to get up. But Robert Smith said he didn't want to continue, and Robert Smith's right, actually. But by counting him, you're ultimately counting him out of the fight. He got pushed on the floor. The ref should have said to him, right, take time, get up, and he wouldn't have been in a position scrambling at 8 or 9 like he was. But anyway, it was irrelevant by then. And the other referee, I think, who refereed the Thomas Carty fight, I've not seen him before.
You announced the double-header featuring Kate Taylor and Conor Benn. Who's the headliner?
Conor Benn this time around. Last time, Katie went above him. This time, Conor will go above him. He'll touch wood. We've got a really big fight for him that we'll announce next week. All of that card will be announced next week. Katie will face, I think, her last mandatory before the Amanda Serrano fight. Joe Caldina will be on that card. Probably Alan Babbage. Jordan Gill against Guerfi for the European title. Loads of other stuff. And then obviously Chisora Parker the week after with Boatsi. Huge fight for Lerone Richards. Zelfa Barrett, Jack Cullen in a big fight, etc. etc.